When I did my MBA in marketing, my dream job was Marico. Unfortunately, I was rejected. But then life takes a full circle, and today I interview the chairman of Marico, Mr. Harsh Mariwala, who's written a fabulous book called Harsh Realities. And if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a student, and all MBA colleges, I would like to tell you, just make this a part of your curriculum, because this is a complete story of entrepreneurship, especially from an Indian entrepreneur point of view. Welcome to the show, Harsh.
Thank you, Vikram. Great to be with you after a long gap.
After a long time,
yes.
Exactly. We always bump in golf courses and stuff
Correct.
like that. But today I'm going to call you Harsh.
Absolutely. Everybody calls me by first name,
Exactly. And this is leads to my first question. Though whatever you've achieved in your life, you need to be called Sir, Lord, Baron, Panditji, and I know you love classical music. Trivia is that you played the sitar at some point of time as well. But it is you who said, while building the culture at Marico, that do not call me sir.
Yes.
And I want to know what was the thought behind this at the time when you were building the culture at Marico.
Yes, you are absolutely right. From day one, I have made it very clear to those who have joined, including youngsters, 20-year-olds, and till today that continues, that you call not only me, but everybody else in the organization by first name. Because the moment you address somebody as sir, or with some other adjective or whatever else, then it puts that artificial barrier, in terms of communication. And then you always are a little hesitant to speak out your mind, that it impacts openness within an organization. And I was very keen to have a culture of openness within Marico and to remove those artificial barriers. So not only the way you speak, but in terms of dressing also. I remember many years back, I had recruited a head of marketing in 90s, and he came, the day he came, first day he was suited, booted, and I said, my God, this is not something Marico does. So please, from tomorrow onwards, no tie, no suit, because nobody wears that. The moment you wear that, then you are showing them that, okay, I am a little superior, and people have to be, they have to respect to me, and they will not be open with me. So I think the culture is very informal, very open, and I was very keen to have that culture. And considering that, I decided to
remove the sir barrier.
Sir part,
No, but it's interesting, right? And at that time when you were starting to build this company, from a culture point of view, sir in India is respect in corporate India.
Yes.
Means everybody wants respect, so you start saying sir. In Bollywood, they say G. Even if there's a 19-year-old actor, they'll say, so-and-so G.
Yeah.
And North India, they take it to another level, Sir G.
Correct.
So somewhere, if you put a message across to the company that respect should be earned.
Yes.
It's not something that will come out of just addressing somebody in a
Correct. Yes, absolutely. In fact, in some organizations, they call you as boss.
Yeah.
So I am very clear that nobody should call me boss, nobody should call me sir, nobody should call me Mr. Mariwala, but first name.
Yeah. And I'm coming to Mr. Mariwala now, because the Britishers created this periodic table of Parsis to identify professions and people, and they called, the Parsis got the surnames the way they did.
Yes.
And it was fascinating to see your grandfather and the brothers, and sometimes I want to have a separate conversation. What was driving them in British India to do what they did? I mean, being at the docks, understanding how the trading process, it is just unbelievable what the motivation was.
Yes.
But the fascinating story from your book was the way your surname came into being. Tell us something about that.
So you're absolutely right. I reckon that those genes were there in the family, and I inherited those genes from my grandfather and my father, and then to me, to do something on your own and to build a business on your own, to encash on some opportunity. So the starting point is, what is the opportunity do I have? In that case, they had a trading opportunity. They saying that, can I create trust through trading mechanism and earn respect? And I think one of the commodities which we were trading in and exporting was pepper, black pepper. And black pepper in Gujarati is known as Mari. So earlier our surname, I was told, was merchants, and most of the common people who were doing business were merchants. And then we had a specialization in Mari or black pepper, and that's how we got, people started calling us Mariwala, and that's how the surname came in, Mariwala.
So merchant to Mariwala, but was there like a proper ceremony to change
I don't know, I don't think so. It must have just happened over a period of time. But this happened when I was born, so it had already happened before I was born. But I heard it from my father and my uncles that this is something which we were merchants earlier, we shifted to Mariwala in terms of a surname.
I think this is a fascinating thing, honestly, using this surname based on your profession, because then it just eliminates so many conversations. So what do you do? No, I'm Vikram Comedy Wala. I'm Vikram Cricket Wala. Finish. Now let's come to the point.
Then I thought maybe I should, because we don't deal with, at least in Marico, we hardly have any pepper
Yeah.
kind of or a spices business. So I almost thought, can I become Tel Wala?
That would have been amazing. Reading your book was like living your journey, and that's the reason I like autobiographies, because for me, I become Harsh Mariwala and I lived that journey. And there was one common thing that came across from a focus point of view, and every one of the ex-Mariconians always say that, Harsh means focus. And I saw two areas which I thought were highly focused. One was building culture, which came, you were always talking about it. Second was innovation. And I have attended a couple of the Marico Innovation Foundation events, and I got a sense that Harsh celebrates innovation.
Yes.
It is there at every level.
True.
And when I read the book, it kind of got reinforced, because one, you had a 4 p.m. popcorn break in your company.
Yes.
And I think breaks are very important for rejuvenation. That's what the sporting world teaches me, that even when tennis players, count racket strings before they play the next shot,
True.
it helps productivity.
Yes.
And the other one was humor in annual reports.
Yes.
So you were giving ROI and you were making people laugh. But this innovation culture, how did it happen? And give us an anecdote as to how.
So I think if I had to take out a gist out of what you just mentioned about talent, that talent has played a very, very important role in my life, And if I look back at my own journey, because of my investing in talent and nurturing them, we have been able to build this company without any capital investment. So talent played a very, very important role, and at every opportunity I try to improve the level or the quality of talent whenever I get an opportunity. And you need to then have a strong culture, because it's just not that you need to attract talent, but you need to retain talent also. And for that you need a strong culture, because money to a certain point will get you jobs or will get you good people to join, but if you want them to continue, you have to make them flourish.
Something more.
And in my own journey in the initial years, whenever we had innovated, in case of parachute through shift from tin to plastics, we saw discontinuous impact on our sales. And our market shares went up from 15% to 50% in 4-5 years. So whenever we had innovated, I saw a big impact on our overall top line and bottom line also, and our market shares. So that belief in innovation just went on strengthening with every time there was a success. Of course, there were many failures, but it's okay to fail. And whenever you get some success, you'll have a huge impact on your business. So since then, we've been trying to create a culture of innovation, which means that people have to be empowered, which means that you need to have diverse set of people, very capable set of people, and they should be willing to experiment and take risks. Because innovation comes out of risk taking, innovation comes out of failures, and it's okay to fail. If you are scared of failure, then innovation will not happen. People will stop taking risks. So that's why we built in a culture. And how do you reinforce innovation from different angles? So can you do it through this popcorn break? Or can you do it through our annual reports, or some of the innovative ads when we started Marico? Nobody knew Marico. We had a series of innovative ads. So when you reinforce innovation from different angles, then you create an innovative culture.
So it's there at all levels.
So wherever you can innovate, you should innovate. Not necessarily in new products. And we have innovated across factories, and we have innovation contests across the organization. We get a lot of entries every year. We get 5 or 6 award winners, and some of them may have innovated completely different. It could be an ad, it could be the way you advertise, it could be a new product development, it could be something on the factory floor. But when every person within the organization starts thinking differently, innovatively,
just spirals out, synergy happens.
There is a multiplier effect.
You mentioned something which is one of my favorite topics, and that's failure. And reframing failure.
Yes.
And it is amazing that all sports people have interacted with and understood how champions look at failure. They embrace failure.
Yes.
I mean, they look forward to a failure because they know they are going to move forward.
Yes.
If you're not taken risks and you have not failed, I remember Rahul Dravid said that, Vikram, you have to understand, 60% of my life I failed, but I managed 10,000 runs because I never took that. For me, it was a growth area, and exactly what you are talking about. But when you are building celebrating failure in the company, it means that you are allowing people to take risks also.
Absolutely.
And that helps.
Yes.
So how did you manage to bring that element and allowed that to happen?
So I think a lot has to do, as I said, with culture, That means if we should encourage people to take risks. And if there is a presentation which is being made by a brand manager, they would all know that I would ask a question: what is the innovation you planned? What do you have in mind? What is the consumer insight which will make you behave in a different way? In a highly competitive environment, you have to be differentiated. You have to be innovative. And so that question triggers. And then you also, as a top management, also has to say that, okay, it's okay to fail, because there is a limit to which market research will answer all the questions. There is no shortcut to actually launching a product in the marketplace. And if you've done proper homework and if you failed, it's okay to fail. We will not punish you. If I punish an intelligent failure, somebody who's done a damn good job in terms of launching something, but it has failed for whatever reason, and if I punish, then everybody in the organization will stop taking this. So it's okay to celebrate failures. It's okay to basically, the top management's role is very important in ensuring that experimentation takes place, that people are willing to live with failures. And I think the more you experiment, the more you prototype, I think you have to give that strong message to the team that yes, this is something which we expect each one to do.
Is there any example you remember where you took that calculated risk and it failed, but the organization learned?
Oh, many times. My book is full of examples of my failures.
That's the reason I thought.
Full of examples, and there is a saying that sometimes you win and sometimes you lose.
Yeah.
But I say that sometimes you win and you always learn.
Wow.
So out of every failure, there has been learning. Yeah. For example, I'll just give you two examples, which will make sense to the readers, to the audience. We had launched about 7-8 years back. We identified baked snacks as an opportunity to grow. At that time, there were no baked snacks. Everything was fried. So we said that it will have a very good fit with our brand name Saffola. So the brief given to the product development department, you come up with baked snacks. Now, under the brand name Saffola, the mistake we made was that because it was under the brand name Saffola, we thought health was more important than taste. So the R&D department came up with a product which was very healthy, but not as tasty. It was done at the compromise of taste. But we realized in food, especially impulsive foods like snacks, taste is the most important thing. People, okay, a little bit less on health is okay, but taste is the most important thing.
What an insight, but
so
we think it's obvious, but we didn't.
It backfired. We had to withdraw the product, and then a few years later, when we launched Saffola Masala Oats, we went overboard on taste. We profiled the taste of each and every state, because each state has a different palate. So Andhra Pradesh wants spicy, somebody else, Gujarati will want something sweet. So for each state, we profiled what is the taste profile, and can we develop a product of masala oats, a range of masala oats which is relevant for that particular state. For example, in Tamil Nadu, we have a Pongal masala oats. In Bombay, we'll have a Pav Bhaji masala oats. And that really did very well. And it has been a big hit. In masala oats, we have an 80% market share. We are the pioneers, and that category is growing. It's almost, I think, 200 crore category in the last 3-4 years.
Wow.
And so the learning has come from that failure.
Amazing.
And the benefit has been substantially higher, because of this franchise of masala oats which we were able to make.
Amazing.
If that failure had not happened, we may not have gone that much deep into the taste profiling.
Oh, amazing. This reminds me of a very interesting case study I had read in the book about the aviation industry. They said that aviation industry is very good at documenting failures for the newer pilots to take over.
Okay.
So when Sully Sullenberger, the guy who landed the plane in the Hudson River, he was asked how the hell did you manage it? He said, because of all the documented failures of all the pilots, I was able to read all of this. No other industry documents failures because it's about so many lives. So he said, I remembered that and I used it. So all those failures were not waste.
Absolutely.
They were used by the pilot. And this is exactly what you're saying. We looked back at all the experiences and now we had a success.
So normally after every failure, what we do is, okay, we sit down. And first of all, we don't regret failure unless we goofed up in the way we've done.
This is negligence.
Negligence, yes. And then we sit down and with the team and then find out what went wrong. And capture insight in terms of, okay, in case of this, taste should have been more than important. Whatever insights are there, we capture, and then how do we apply it to our future learning, So I think that few hours spent in analyzing failure and the learnings out of that is very, very crucial.
Beautiful.
Because then that can be used not immediately, it could be after 3 or 5 years by some other teams, as you rightly put it, And that's what exactly we've done out of multiple failures,
Wow.
We have used it in our next round of initiative strategies, and actually we've succeeded much more.
This is
through that
itself is such a beautiful topic to kind of delayer and stuff like
Yes.
that. I remember there's the founder of Jiu-Jitsu who said that for me failure is success because if you failed means you've tried.
Correct, absolutely. But in Indian society, I think failure is shunned upon. They expect parents expect the children always to win.
Yeah, and that is why I like your mental health initiative also, because I know it came from your daughter and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because we immediately go into an issue when we fail.
Correct.
And nobody gives us a perspective that hey, this is the starting
Correct,
point.
yeah.
So you will never suffer and have self-esteem
Correct.
problems if somebody tells you this is a part of growth process.
Correct,
But we
absolutely.
go on the back foot as Indians,
Yeah.
and then we suffer so many issues.
True,
Yeah.
absolutely true.
Coming to a very important point, and I think this is something that everybody in India who's an Indian businessman should kind of understand your perspective. And I like the way you put it in your book that for me product matters, the consumer matters. I
Yes.
don't care about the environment that much, because if I can give a 10x,
Yes.
then automatically the competition comes in line.
Yes.
Having said that, in the environment you had the Levers, you had the Procter and Gamble
Yes.
hitting at you, and I remember sports people tell young people, don't look at the name, bowl at the batsman, don't look at the name of the batsman because that will affect the way
Correct,
you play.
correct.
And golf always says that you are the only person you are competing against, no other
Correct.
player matter.
Correct.
This is okay to say, right, in conversation,
Yeah.
but you are amidst that behemoth and who's, weren't you afraid at some point of time, like, and saying ki yaar,
See, I think it's okay. First of all, you have to accept that if you succeed, there are 20 other companies watching you, and they want to emulate your success, or they want to say that, okay, if Marico is successful in building a coconut oil brand or anything else, why can't I also do it, And so it's but natural to expect competition, because you can't be scared of competition. I think you have to go on improving yourself on a perpetual basis. If you innovate something, some others will copy. So how can you have to have innovation pipeline for each product. So as and when somebody comes in, you already have a few things in pipeline, and not start thinking when you get competition. So I think one thing is competition is natural. Just like others try and hit out at you, you will also try and hit out at others. So it's a part and parcel of being in business, and it's absolutely natural. One should not get scared, but proactively have a plan wherein you can overcome these future potential threats by investing in technology, new product developments, innovation, pioneering initiatives, and also overall capability of the organization. So when this threat came in, and I've described that in great detail in the book.
I mean, Dadi Seth calling you, and you were like, and I'm like, wow, this for us was a great revelation.
So I mean, I didn't really. I mean, it was not an impulsive decision to take them on, but I analyzed it with my team. I went and met a few people who had fought with Levers, and came to a deliberate decision that we are well placed to take them on in terms of our quality, in terms of the fact that we know this business inside out, in terms of my top level attention as against not getting the top attention in a larger company. We were weak only in distribution, rural distribution, which we ramped up within a short period of time. So we are very confident that we will be able to take on. And I think that's, so ultimately it arises out of not just a macho kind of a feeling, but it is a lot of thinking has gone into it, and it's just not a rash decision to take on anybody. So you have to analyze what could happen. For example, if I was in a high-tech business and somebody came in with a completely disruptive new technology, which I didn't have, then I have to analyze whether am I in the right, can I take them on. But in this case, we analyzed the whole thing, we discussed in detail, and we came to the conclusion that we will take them on.
Wow. And what amazes me is that in your entire journey of taking on people, and actually what is interesting is you are taking them on, but you're focusing on your core. And you still wanting to going into product categories, which you normally everybody would have said mat jao at that point of time, and you still did that. But in all of this, I see a focus on governance.
Yes.
I see a focus on right and wrong.
Yes.
I see a focus on ethics. which is so beautiful to watch, because we
Yeah.
unfortunately we live in a society today that boss get rich, doesn't matter how it comes, and here you beautifully put it in the way you've done it.
Yeah.
Tell us something about this, and especially in the times that where we are working from
Yeah,
home.
so I think you have raised a very important issue in corporate India, and I think there is a belief amongst many entrepreneurs that I will look at governance, compliances when I become much larger. That doesn't cut well. You know, you are sowing seeds of shortcuts if you start taking shortcuts when you are small. You have to be highly compliant from day one, from the day you start business, because if you get caught because you've taken some shortcuts, it will hit back at you so hard that your business will get impacted and you will be put back by a few years. So my strong advice to all the entrepreneurs is take this issue of governance very, very seriously, irrespective of your size. You have to start thinking of governance, compliances from the day you start business and not when you grow up, because you're sowing seeds of strong governance within the organization down the line, you know. And I think that's what I tried to do from the time I started doing business. It has paid off. Today, governance has become very, very demanded by all the stakeholders, whether it is your own shareholders or your employees or the society, or even if you're recruiting a board, they want to only be associated with a company which is high on governance. So it's very important that entrepreneurs look at governance proactively and take it very seriously. Sometimes they think that it may take some time, some energy, but it is fully worth it, because if it doesn't work well, it backfires on you. You'll be paying a huge price for that.
Absolutely. And you know, this show is being watched by thousands of compliance professionals and entrepreneurs. So it's a great lesson that don't start late.
No, you start from day one. Forget about day. Start from day one on compliance and governance.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Coming to a very important point, and I think decision making is something which I used to always discuss it with umpires. That is, do you have a framework for making a decision when 1 billion people are watching you? And you have taken those strategic decisions at a time where probably there were a bunch of people who were saying, boss, maybe not good area. I don't judge me, but I used to use hair oil at one point of time. But being in the hair oil business, going into a state where a labor issue could be an imminent problem in Kerala and setting up a factory, or going into Bangladesh for that matter. These are major, they can go backfire in a big way.
Yes.
Tell us from maybe one of these decisions, was there a framework? How did you put that?
So I think again goes back into your mindset. My mindset of taking risks, or doing something contrarian, and not follow something because others are telling you. So when we went to Bangladesh, it was not the best of countries in terms of law and order and all that. People were reluctant to go there. And we said that there is a huge market and why can't we succeed in Bangladesh? And we will rough it out. And we did that, and we are the largest Indian company in Bangladesh. Then when it came to establishing a factory in Kerala, all my friends, relatives said, forget it, you are going to burn your fingers. But the advantages in terms of cost structure benefits, financial benefits were so large that we said, we'll do this, you know. And it was basically some degree of risk taking combined with an innovative approach. Because the way we set up the factory, it really was done in a very innovative manner. And we have got a huge benefit. And I always say that sometimes people think that role of HR is not there to add anything in the area of strategy or profitability. In my case, this example shows that HR can add substantial to your profitability. And I think many CEOs don't realize the importance of human resources. To me, the first employee in Bombay Marico was HR head, you know. So it's very important that HR and human resources and talent takes almost like top attention of all entrepreneurs. There is a war for talent, and the war for talent you should be paying maximum attention to that compared to your war for competition or war for financial resources.
And it comes back to your point about compliance, that when you're going into a new market, you're going into Kerala, hey, we are a compliant company. We are not going to do anything wrong. So you can't find anything wrong.
Correct. Otherwise, somebody will try and hit out at you. You know, if you start taking shortcuts, some of your enemies, they will try to hit out at you by trying to find out what are the things you are taking shortcuts, and it can backfire at you.
It can backfire in a big way.
Yeah.
That brings me, you're always talking about culture and you're saying empower, let them take risks. ये सब अच्छी बातें हैं. But सबसे बड़ा मैंने problem entrepreneur में देखा है ability to let go.
Yes.
And because at one level he becomes an entrepreneur, she becomes an entrepreneur because you have conviction, you have a certain amount of ego also.
Yes,
because
sir.
all these components are important to take. नहीं तो if you don't have it in you, then you don't become big. And I've seen this with super achievers all the time. Having said that, now you are saying, boss, I was running the business, now I have to manage the business, and therefore I sit back.
Yeah.
It's easier said than done. Does your ego come into play all the time when you recruit high talent, and how do you manage it? How do you manage that emotion?
So you are absolutely right that this is a core issue with the entrepreneurs. I work with a lot of entrepreneurs, help them scale up and all that. But the biggest issue is, can I delegate? How can I lose control? I need to know of each and everything is happening. I think a lot of that has to do with ego, combined with the fact that they're not able to attract talent. If you recruit somebody who is not capable, you have to recruit somebody who is better than you. Then your ability to delegate is much more. And delegation is not abdication. If I delegate to you, I'm equally responsible for your actions. If you don't do well, then I'm accountable for that. So don't say that I delegated to Vikram and things didn't work out and it is his fault. No, it's my fault. The fact that I chose you and I delegated to you, I'm responsible. I'm not abdicating. I'm responsible for your whatever actions. So you need to select very good talent and delegate to people who are capable and not be too fond of what you did, because if you are in that kind of a mindset, then there is a limit to which you can expand. You cannot handle everything on your own. So when you become from small, when you start as an entrepreneur, you are doing things on your own. Everything you're doing, everything comes to you. And you get a lot of power, ego. Of course, you've done well, you are capable, so you succeeded. But that should not go into your head. There are people who are capable, more capable than you in the environment. So when you go from that to a medium-sized organization, you recruit a team. So the focus shifts from doing things to getting things done. And that's a very big step for entrepreneurs. When you get things done by a team of people, you need to have a set of people who interact with each other, they network with each other, there are systems, processes, team building, all that comes in.
But does there come to a point that you have to want to say, "Tu mere ko mat sikha yaar."
Yeah, but again, if you want to grow big, then there is no shortcut to actually taking talent and delegating, because to what extent you can go on doing things on your own. You have to lead a life which is building a business and a personal life also, So, and then when you become really large, you're dealing with lots and lots of people, you're influencing others, not even getting things done from others.
Now I want to understand Harsh Mariwala, the focus guy which everybody talks about. And I know from watching a high performance athlete that focus has two components. One is the mind and the body.
Yeah.
To keep yourself focused, you require yourself to be physically fit.
Yes.
And your mind needs to be able to deep think without getting affected by what's happening around you. So in sporting parlance, we call it the zone, where the mind and body react beautifully because you have just been as deep as you can go on the problem. And this is your skill. I want to understand, when you reach this high point of being in the zone or being in the flow, was there something on a personal level in terms of drill or routines that you followed to become the champion performer in your individual space, not in the organization space?
So you're absolutely right that there is a very strong connection between the physical fit, mental fit versus your performance on the job. And I see a very strong linkage, and I, for one, strongly believe that every individual should spend at least 1 or 2 hours every day in terms of the health, mental health, physical health, whatever.
This is a big message for all of us.
Yes, because, and there is no shortcut to it. People say, how do you get time? I get time, it's like having a bath. You have to have a bath every day, you have to exercise. And my mindset is now, if I don't exercise, I won't be able to sleep in the night, So, there are ways, and everybody knows that at 5:30 I will leave the office. Come on. I have not sat in my office in the last 40 years. Beyond 5:30, maybe once or twice in my life. 5:30 or 6. So, and then if need be, I carry some work home, but I have to exercise at 6:37 to 8 o'clock in the evening every day. Now, depending on what your preference is, some people want to do it in the morning, but you have to exercise. There is no shortcut to it. And you decide what you like exercising. I like variety of things. Like I walk, I go to the gym, I swim, I play golf on weekends, I do yoga. So a combination of exercising is something which I like, But it's very important part of being fit and agile, and also mentally also it helps you in business.
Both are correlated.
Correct. And separately on focus, I think human mind can take few things at a time. You can't do 20 things at a time, So if you look at any expert, they only can have one sport. Rahul Dravid cannot play cricket and 10 other sports.
Yes.
Okay, after he finishes, all the sportsmen have started playing golf, I see.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then their cricketing career is over. So it's very important because focus leads to depth and depth leads to excellence. And you have to be excellent in what you're doing,
But how do you manage being focused and multitask?
So normally you should not multitask. You should do a few things and do them well. That's what I'm saying. So in a business also, there could be exceptions. I'm not saying there are not exceptions. So there are exceptions of businesses which have gone in various and expanded and done well. So there could be exceptions, but by and large, I'm saying that focus approach will ensure that you will succeed better because you're all focused. All your energy goes into one part of the business. So I said I want to be an FMCG only. I don't want to get into unrelated business. I have not gone into anything which was the flavor of the day at that time, whether it was IT or infrastructure or whatever else. And I said I want to only be in FMCG.
So define a harsh day in 1 minute. How does it go?
So it's very structured. It's very focused. I mean, I'm talking of now. I've stepped down as managing director, so I get an opportunity of doing various things.
But I'm saying in the prime of your career.
So it would be basically it's a very structured day. I have set meetings through the month with every either individual or teams or whatever. Everything is calendared. I spend a lot of time in people issues. I always like doing that because ultimately people is the one which makes difference. So depending on what stage I was in my career, I did different things.
Do you have a thinking time?
No, it was maybe when I walk I would think, but otherwise it's not a separate
now it's just
thinking
on
time. Yeah. But you're always thinking as an entrepreneur. You're always thinking. I meet you something, some other thought comes in, I write it down, and I work on it.
You mentioned a very important point in the book, which is in the the last part of the book. But for me, it was very important, and that was addressing the concept of purpose.
Yes.
And whether it is at an individual level, it is at an organizational level, whether it is for older people, younger people, unless you have purpose,
yes,
nothing goes right. Because you can be talented, but I've seen champion teams go haywire because the champions don't have purpose. I mean,
right.
Finally, everybody needs to align towards a common goal, and you've reiterated that in 2 or 3 chapters.
Yeah.
And now you've gone to the level of saying that there has to be a human purpose also.
Correct.
In the organization.
Correct.
So that then it beautifully, goes into one.
Correct.
Was that a thought which came in the latter part of your journey, or was it something that you thought through and said that, hey, this is important because it's important for me also?
So I would say that in my initial phases, I was doing something without consciously planning to do like that, and it got built up. And as I went on doing something, I just started formalizing that thought process of purpose. So to answer your question, that purpose was formalized a little later, but there were in my earlier days, whenever I did something, and my purpose is to make a difference to others, and the whole book is written from that angle, to make a difference. My whole life learnings, if I can share with many people, and I'm 100% sure that whoever reads it will have some take-home value, then I'm making a difference to them, And so whenever somebody comes to me for advice, even if I don't have any interest in that, by and large, I try and help that person if I can help, if that person is an entrepreneur or whatever, So, and the organization's purpose also is to make a difference, So we expect all Mariconians to go walk that extra mile, whether it's their own consumer or whether it's stakeholder or associates or society or shareholders or own employees. What can you do that extra thing which others are not doing to make a difference? And because if you do that, then the kind of the energy which it unleashes is much more, and it is beneficial to all the stakeholders.
And what I like about you is that whatever purpose-based activity you do, you are involved in it.
Yes, it's active giving. Yeah, I don't want to give a donation to somebody. Whenever I've backed a cause, and today I'm backing 2 big causes, entrepreneurs and mental health. Actually, I spend 20% of my time on these causes. And actually, I get deeper into it. What can I do to add value? And also on the Innovation Foundation, which also reports to me. So I spend between these 3, I spend about 30-40% of my time.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'll come to that one question which I can relate to more because I come from a sporting background. This game that you play is a beautiful game. I really, unfortunately, I'm not privileged enough to have membership in golf clubs. Or whenever I've played, I've realized that if anything that teaches you life in its complete sense is golf.
Huh.
Tell me 3 lessons that golf taught you. because golf is basically आपको golf खेलना आ गया ना ego चला जाएगा because it just kills your ego.
Yeah.
It just makes you come down. But I'm sure you had your 2-3 lessons coming out.
So
of this
my parents, both my parents used to play golf.
Wow.
I stayed in a house which was next to the Wellington Golf. I
Beautiful.
could see the 7th green from my house. So those seeds of playing golf were sown by my parents at one level. And golf is a relatively difficult game to pick up, you know. I played other games like squash, but it is very complex game. And either you like it or hate it. If you like it, you love it.
Yeah.
If you hate it, you'll just give it up. So when I learned the golf, and it's a very complex game, it's a lot of thinking here. So first lesson is you have to go on thinking. Okay, if I have to go from one spot to another, second, third, what kind of clubs should I? What clubs should I wear? What kind of, should I use? What are the distance when putting? What are the lines? So there is a lot of thinking involved in golf. Just like, and you, so thinking combined with strategy.
Yeah.
And then ultimately it's the execution. So are you
Finally
hitting
to that one swing.
So are you doing, and because many times you don't realize you're making a mistake. So you have to go on, if you are making a mistake, you have to go back to the coach, learn, so that learning comes in. So I mean strategy, execution and learning.
Everything encompassed.
So ultimately you have to go on learning, you know, like few years back my putting, I don't know why I lost complete touch and everybody would make fun of me, all my friends. And then I said, no, I have to improve. So I went to Pune. I realized there was one coach who was very good in this. So I went to Pune especially for him. I spent 2 days with him and he fixed my game and my putting is superb now.
Wow.
So, you know, you have to go on learning and then, okay, you'll have bad days and good days in golf, but it's a great
Represents
game.
life.
Yeah, correct.
And just to conclude this wonderful book that you've written, Harsh Realities, everybody should pick up this book. I really believe that Harsh Realities is something that you should continue after this book. And I know this book writing process, I've also written a book, so it's not an easy process.
Yes.
But still, I would like you to talk about the process of book writing. I believe this is the reason you spend time with your wife.
You're right. So the book was written earlier by somebody else and I was not happy, and then I engaged one of my ex-HR heads to write the book. I wrote in Professor Ramcharan, whom I know very well. He is a management guru. He's written 30 books, selling more than 4 million copies. So he's a renowned name in management circles. He readily agreed to not write the book, but to give his insights after the end of the chapter. He spent a few days. He came here specially on the book and spent some time with me. And then the pandemic happened, and I was still not that. I was not that excited that we have a fantastic thing. And then my wife writes very well, but she never written a book. So my children went on saying, "But why are you not asking her to get involved?" And I was a little bit reluctant because I would have to spend a lot of time on that.
And
but
talking about yourself.
And the pandemic happened, and then she knows me well. So I mean, she was able to unearth a lot of my own stories based on her memory and all that. And I think the 2-3 things she did well was, one was the language. She improved the language substantially. Number 2, she added a lot of anecdotes which were not added. And anecdotes make the book very interesting.
Absolutely.
And the book, she also made it very easy to read. And then on top of that, the Ramcharan's insights at the end of the chapter. It's a book which is written in a story format, very easy to read, but with a lot of take-home value.
Absolutely.
I think what is the result? I am very happy with the result, and I have given the book to many of my friends. Their wives they read it. They also loved it, and I was quite surprised that ladies who are not in business, they're liking it. That means there must be something in the book.
Absolutely, because it's storytelling, right?
Yes.
India is a storytelling country.
Correct.
From a grandmother
Correct.
to everything, it's about stories and making us entertained.
So in a way, pandemic was a blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
I used to sit 2 hours every day with my wife, and she's she's like a perfectionist. She would want to, if she's not happy, she'll go on asking me more and more questions. Okay, why don't you give me this? Why don't you? So she actually raised that bar substantially by by challenging me.
By being your boss.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Harsh. It's an amazing book, and I really, as I said in the beginning, every management student, every manager should read it to just understand what this wonderful journey is all about. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vikram. Thank you.